Hello, and thanks for listening to the podcast, Working Drummer. Today I talked to Fred Eltringham. Arguably, Fred has had some of the coolest gigs throughout the years he's been playing. Some of the artists he's been working with include the Wallflowers, Katie Lang, the Dixie Chicks, and for the last few years, Sheryl Crow. Fred is also a powerhouse in the studio, working with people like Tears for Fears and T Bone Burnett. To find out more about this podcast and others, go to workingdrummer.net, find us on Facebook, Twitter, and you can also subscribe on iTunes. Here is Fred Eltringham. What's going on with you this year? What's happening?
This year has been a ton of recording so far.
Okay.
We were going to tour with Sheryl at the end of the year. She was all gung-ho and staying on the road and booking a ton of shows for this year, but it turned into more of a writing year for her, I guess. So we only have a handful of gigs, and we're just I just been working around town.
Okay. Yeah, I was looking at kind of your list of the people you've been playing with, and it's kind of, how long have you been in Nashville?
I've been in Nashville now. It's 8 years. March.
Okay. And where were you before that?
Before that, I was in L.A. I lived in L.A. 5 years on and off.
Okay.
So we did 2 years, and then we moved to New York for 2 years, and then moved back to L.A. for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
And it was all for work, it was all for people I was playing with.
Okay. All right.
But actually, the first time I moved to LA, it was just to go out there and try to get work. And
okay. Well, man, if you don't mind, can we go back, like, just where you're from and kind of what got you interested in music and playing and all that good stuff?
Yeah, I'm from Westchester, Pennsylvania, outside of Philadelphia. Little suburb, and I'm the youngest of 5, and we all played instruments, except for one of my brothers didn't play an instrument.
That's why you're an uncle and almost a great uncle.
Yeah, yeah. And we all started taking lessons around the same time. Actually, I remember the day my mom said, "Do you guys want to take? Do you want to play instruments? Or you want to take lessons, learn instruments?" And we all said yes. And my sister played piano. She took piano. My oldest brother took bass. And my brother Matt, at the time, said he wanted to play drums.
Yeah.
And I said, all right, well, I'll play guitar.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, no, I want to play guitar.
Oh, one of those brothers.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Right.
I was like, fine. Okay, I'll play drums then. And he still plays guitar, but... so that's how that worked out. And then we all started taking lessons.
So how old were you when you got started?
I was 7.
Oh, okay. Nice.
And we all started taking lessons at this place called Beams Music in Fraser, Pennsylvania, which is still there, I think. And my teacher was this guy, Bob Quigley. It was awesome. He was he was actually an exterminator, but he was like a jazz drummer.
Yeah.
And played in like wedding bands and stuff,
That wasn't his nickname, the Exterminator.
The Exterminator,
No.
Thank God.
He actually was an exterminator.
A real exterminator.
Get this guy, the Exterminator.
And, I took lessons from him until I was like 15.
Wow.
Something like that.
Okay.
16.
Yeah. Did you know that this is what you wanted to do as you were taking lessons from him? I mean, throughout life, or as you were growing up, just kind of like, did you?
I mean, it's what I wanted to do. Yes.
Yeah.
Because we all started playing, like in a band. We had a band called Rox, ROX. Me and my brothers, and sometimes my sister.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it was just something that I always did. I didn't play a lot of sports or anything like that. It was just all about music. Yeah. And so it was the first thing where I was like, wow, I can actually do this. And I love it. It was just fun. It wasn't a lot of work. It wasn't painful for me to practice or anything. It was like, it was cool.
Were your parents ever like, okay, give it a rest?
No, my parents were super supportive. My mom is a musician, and she sang in the choir and stuff like that, and she can play a little piano.
And I should say, for the record, my mom was as well. This doesn't come from personal experience. She was super supportive, and my sisters just had no say.
You were saying that because they're listening.
Well,
you don't want to get in trouble.
No, it's just the common theme. It's like, no one likes to hear drummers practice, not even other drummers. It's just that constant.
Yeah, I used to actually, we didn't have a basement or anything, so my drums were in my room most of the time. But I always had like a tiny room, and I remember at one point,
so that's why you're doing studio work. It's just this natural evolution.
That feeling.
It just feels
I
right.
just wanted to be in a small room.
Padded room.
And we did record in all those rooms.
Oh, yeah.
Just with a boombox, though.
Okay.
We just put up the boombox.
Yeah.
But my drums, actually, I put them in my parents' room for a while because they had the biggest room. And I would just play in their room. I remember one time, I don't know if it happened a number of times, but my dad laying in bed while I was like sitting there playing Zeppelin 1, like practicing along. So they were super supportive. They did not care at all.
There's no definition of being more supportive than what you just described.
Yeah, I know. I don't remember them one time saying like, "All right, keep it down, guys."
Wow. I have an old walk-in closet that I converted into a practice room with just as much soundproofing technique as I could muster from, people that told me how to do this, and when we first moved in and spent all this time and money and energy and doing all this stuff in this house, and taking a break from all the construction on the back porch, I'm standing out there and I hear my neighbor about a block away practicing his drums. I have no idea who this person is, but it's Nashville, so you're going to hear that person. I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I spending all this? But
yeah, if they don't care.
No, and my family's super supportive on all that stuff. I've come upstairs from practicing, and my kids are already asleep.
Yeah, I have no soundproofing in my practice room at home now either. So.
Wow. Well, I don't know, and maybe it was just peace of mind from my perspective. Or maybe it's just the desire to be in a small, closed room. So, at that point, you took lessons to about 15?
15, and I was in bands. I was in bands that whole time either with my brothers or with friends from school, like in high school. Put a couple bands together and stuff, and then. I didn't take lessons again until I went to Berkeley. I graduated from high school, and then I went to community college first. A Delaware County Community College outside of Philly. Yeah. And then
Go Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Was it?
I don't think they had any sports.
Oh, okay.
Does community college have sports? They probably don't.
Probably not. I'm just it's just trying to be supportive. Yeah. Come on, man.
It's actually the best I ever did in school.
Me too, isn't it weird?
Yeah.
Did you kind of have a plan in mind when you're going to community college that I'm going to be going to Berkeley or?
No, I didn't know. I had no idea what I wasn't sure. I mean, I knew I wanted to keep playing music at that point. I was like, well, okay. When I was little, I thought I was going to join some huge rock band at some point, and I would just be a rock star by the early 20s, But I didn't. I wasn't. So, actually, my neighbor was also a drummer. He was my best friend, Todd Trebetsky. He lived across the street from me, and his parents were my godparents, and my parents were his godparents. But he ended up taking drum lessons too, from the same teacher, Bob. And one day he said, "Hey, I think I'm going to apply to Berkeley. I'm going to go to Berkeley." And I was like, why am I not going to Berkeley? I was like, what is this? I've been doing this so much. I did it, like 8 years longer than he had been playing. And I was like, why am I not doing that?
Were you a better player than him?
Well, it wasn't just that. It was just kind of like, I just felt like, well, if he's gonna go, I should be doing that.
Maybe
I should be playing,
sure.
you know, because we were best friends.
Yeah,
that's the way it goes. And so I think I applied to MIT or Musicians Institute in California, and also Berkeley, maybe around the same time. And I didn't get the financial aid to go to Musicians Institute or something like that, so that fell through. And then Berkeley said, "Why don't you come up to the 5-week program first and check it out and see if you like it?"
Okay.
And so I did that. I went up, and it was great. I loved it. It was amazing, and I actually auditioned for their like scholarship thing that they have there during the 5-week thing. You can go and audition to get the scholarship, and I got it. I won one of the scholarships.
Cool.
So
nice.
And that was it. I ended up going back for the following fall.
So it just made sense, just between the two, because of the financial help and
yeah, it just felt right, and I instantly made some great friends there.
Oh,
so, and actually Abe Laboriel Jr. was there at the same time, and I saw him play during the 5-week program, and I was like, I realized how much I needed to learn, and I was just kind of like, oh, killer! There's rock drummers here too. It wasn't just, I was terrified of the jazz thing because I hadn't really studied jazz that much, and it kind of made me realize, okay, well, this isn't all just about a jazz program.
Sure, and I'm wondering if that's kind of evolving over time, because I think studying jazz in kind of a higher education was the norm for so long. I was just listening to an interview not too long ago with Steve Smith, and that's all he wanted to do. There was no other program, well, especially through the 70s, but for a long time, and it seems like it's ever evolving too, as different styles of music are gaining more. I don't know what the word is, but it just validity. Outside. I mean, I'm a huge jazz fan.
Yeah,
I love it.
Me too.
And I studied it in school, and there are definitely its merits as far as studying it that apply to everything.
Yeah.
But it can't be taken away, especially when you see the musicality and the skills that come from pop players and rock players that do something that's really amazing. Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. I think it's. I wouldn't play the same way had I not learned about jazz and started studying it.
Yeah.
So I think it's huge, and I still practice along the jazz records, even though I don't play in jazz bands or anything. And it just terrified me because I was, I'd only played rock and roll and rock music from 8 years old until then.
Well, and growing up, you talked about playing along to Zeppelin 1. Was there something that kind of really pulled you in, a player or a band?
Well, yeah, definitely that record in particular, because it was the first record I ever bought with my own money.
Wow.
I still have it. But I think the first thing that really blew me away, drumming wise, I think was Hendrix with the Experience and Mitch Mitchell and that stuff.
Yeah.
It was so different. It was just incredible. So.
I just got a new turntable, and we've got those. If you want, we can put those on.
If you want, that's fine. I had a tape of smash hits. It had all the different singles and stuff on it, and I used to just listen to it over and over again. And then my teacher made me learn "Hey Joe."
Yeah,
and that was like one of the first songs I ever learned.
Wow.
And I could not play it exactly the way Mitch Mitchell did. I probably can't still, but...
Well, going back to jazz, think about that.
He was super jazz influenced, yeah.
Yeah, I think Elvin Jones was like one of his big influences.
I'm sure.
And when somebody told me that, it clicked.
Yeah.
I heard it. I didn't hear it before. It sounded like that evolution of rock drummers in the 60s that grew up listening to what was available.
Oh yeah,
which was jazz. But then when you hear the connection between Elvin Jones and to Mitch Mitchell, you're like, I hear those fills. I hear that. Well, it's funny. You hear that connection, but then at the same time, I listen to Elvin Jones and I hear Mitch Mitchell.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
just reverse in the reverse way, because you hear this just heavy tom thing, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, the tuning.
I get it now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the tuning.
The way
well,
it sounds.
right. There's more to it than just what was available gear-wise, what was available music-wise.
Yeah.
But what a glorious period.
Oh yeah.
As far as rock drumming, what was evolving in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
I love it.
Yeah. I mean, I still go back. That's the stuff I still go back to.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know. But so Mitch Mitchell, yeah, and then and I got to actually learn those songs and then play them with my brothers, which was huge, at a very young age, and then we started playing them in front of people like right away, because the music school would put on these shows at like high schools or middle schools or
right. Oh, where you guys were taking
where,
lessons?
Yeah, they would
nice.
They would set up a show to promote their store to get kids to come and take lessons, so they would put bands together, or whatever bands were already together of people that were taking lessons there. They would just have them play.
And that seems like a more and more common thing. Maybe it's just the promotion of it, but that seems like a very progressive kind of thing for a school to do, to get kids that experience. And it obviously worked, because that getting that feedback. I mean, what was it like playing?
I was terrified, but I remember being so scared the first time I ever did it. Was at a high school, and it was like my sister. We had to play Piano Man by Billy Joel. My sister wanted because she knew that was one singing.
You had to
song.
play.
She knew. Well, they were like, "Well, your sister knows Piano Man, so let's go play that." And I was like, "Okay," and I was so scared. I remember just walking out there. I only played the hi-hat. I just played a waltz on the hi-hat. That's all I did the whole time. I was just like scared.
Berkeley, I know sometimes people go through the whole thing. They graduate, some people don't, what?
No, I didn't graduate.
Okay.
I went for a few years. Like 2 years, and then I just dropped out because I was supporting myself, and I was working jobs, and it just became it was just like too much for me at that point for to have to, because it was moving into taking marimba and all that stuff, and I knew that I didn't have the practice time to put in. Like, I didn't have the time to go and sit and practice and really dive in the way I would need to get,
because of work, because of working, and
I had to support myself, so I just knew it was going to be too much, and felt overwhelming. And I was already playing. I had joined this band. We were called Atlas Shrugged. It was like a rock band, and so we were already playing gigs around town and stuff, and I just kind of, just didn't want to spend any more money in school at that point. I didn't rule it out, like going back, but which I still don't rule back. I still have my dad every once in a while. Hey, ever going to finish college? Like, well, I'm 44 now. Maybe. I mean, you can always go back, but I didn't graduate.
Okay. Well, so because of supporting yourself, and then where did you go from there? What kind of?
Well, then I started playing with this band. I was playing with this band, Jack Drag, and then I got into this band called the Gigolo Aunts, and they had a label, or they were signed to a label, RCA. And they were already touring, and they had a record out already that was doing okay and everything. And it was like a power pop band. And they were touring. They had been touring for years. And so I joined that band and just started touring, and that was it. And that's the beginning.
One of the things that we keep coming across in talking in these podcasts and stuff is that kind of expressing your own style of playing, and people like saying, hey, I want that person, I want that player on this song, this recording, this gig, whatever, because they do what they do. And it just, the things that I've heard you do, you have, you have a unique style, but you have a style that no matter if I've seen you with Dixie Chicks or with Sheryl or different things like that, I mean, covering a wide range of music, but it's still you. I mean, do you feel like you're going through this time? For me, I just remember that going through this time when you're really developing your sound, you're developing your technique, your setup, cymbals you play. Do you feel like you were getting there at this time, or you were already there?
At that time, no. Definitely not.
Yeah.
I mean, I was so young. I mean, maybe I thought I knew what I was doing at that time, but I definitely, looking back now, I didn't know.
I'm trying to kind of tie the arc into kind of your development as a player and kind of why you are where you are right now.
Yeah.
What you're doing.
Yeah, well, I guess...
happy accidents or...
No, I think it's everything, it's everything you do. It's starting from hearing that first Beatles record or hearing, Hendrix for the first time or whatever, and just listening to that and taking it in as a musician and then sitting with it and playing along to it, for an hour or a million hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
That's just the way it becomes ingrained in you, and maybe you will steal drum fills from certain people or whatever, and then develop that, I guess, and eventually some of those fills will stick and become sort of your repertoire for everything or whatever,
right,
or not. And I just think it's everything you listen to or play along to is going to have some sort of influence on you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But
and I don't know how. I guess everyone's an individual, so your thing is going to come across if I don't know how to explain it. I remember reading that in Modern Drummer. I started getting Modern Drummer instantly as a 7-year-old because they had it at the store. And seeing people say that forever and ever, develop your own sound. So it's always been in my mind to have my own sound. That's something that's stuck with me. And so I still play along to records all the time. That's how I practice. I play along to music.
That's what I was going to ask you. I mean, growing up, you mentioned this, and everybody kind of has their own path, and some of it's more book related, or there's that debate of how much do you spend in drum books and different things like that, and there's the kind of that methodology of learning to play, and the play along thing is really nice, but I think it's the listening aspect of music and of learning to play drums that I think that a lot of us forget to just listen.
Oh yeah,
spend time listening. And so, do you feel like that's just kind of
even more and more to me now? It's become more important listening to stuff.
Why is it more important to you?
I don't
now?
know. You
mean for yourself? Or
yeah,
do you think
maybe for myself mentally, and for my playing.
Yeah, but as far as advice to players coming up, do you think that's a lost thing, or do you think that's
probably not? There's. Yeah. I feel like everybody is good now. You know what I mean?
Well, there is that.
There's so many. Everybody's good. You know what I mean? And there's dudes who it is great, or their style is that everyone's got their own thing. It's like there's so many incredible players on every instrument, and you just kind of go like, wow. So you have to have your own thing, or else,
right?
You know what I mean?
Is it that there are all those? There are a lot of good players, or that we just know about all the good players?
Well, that's probably now that
or maybe
social media is so massive that everyone has their own thing that you can hear everybody too. You can see a picture of them and listen to them play instantly
where they could
on your phone.
I know, where maybe even 10 years ago you wouldn't have known about this person unless you heard him down the street. And I wonder if there's that kind of mix. I remember somebody was saying, man, it's like all this stuff, this fixing in the vocals. It's like it's not going to teach kids to sing. And I thought, but if that's what they're hearing, if they're hearing this pitch perfect thing, maybe they're going to think, well, that's the norm. I have to match that. Yeah. And maybe players are hearing this online or saying, oh, that's the standard. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, it's the same thing as like a drummer going like, I have to be right with the click, or else I'm screwed, or I got to be this or that. And it's like, well, yeah, sometimes. I mean, but you can't go to any situation thinking like, I have to be right on the click for this session, or I have to be right. It's like, it's not, you can't have any preconceived notions about what situation you're going into, because it's always going to change. Sure. Somebody might go, well, I want it really loose. I want it kind of behind the click a little bit on this. Or, and if you've been practicing like staying right on it, you're going to have a hard time. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about what led up to the Wallflowers gig and that stuff?
Well, yeah, we met them on tour, and I just became friends with the bass player, Greg, who's a great guy. And, we hit it off and became pals and just kept in touch over the years, and I would go see him when I was in LA or whatever, I'd go see them when they'd come to town, wherever I was living. And then when Mario left, they called me up to come play.
Nice.
So I'd kept playing. I left the Gigolo Aunts in like 1999.
So that went for a while then.
It was like 6 years, yeah. Okay. And then I started playing with Juliana Hatfield. It was like a indie rock artist from Boston, and toured with her for a while for that year, or 2000. And then that's when I moved to LA after that first tour with her. And just to try it and get some work and get stuff going on there. And not a lot really happened. I didn't get a ton of work, and it was hard, and I was struggling, and I was a catering waiter.
Well, what was the motivation to get off the road? And I mean, you were.
Well, I didn't want to get off the road. Okay. I just wanted to get out of Boston at that point. We had been there 9 years, and I was like, well, I just want to go see what, if I can, give a shot at LA. You know what I mean? And just try something different and see what a different scene is like. And all the guys from the Gigolo Aunts had moved out there, and a bunch of people that I was friends with in Boston moved out there. Okay. And we were all working and doing stuff. So I was like, why not?
So that was your draw to LA.
Yeah. So the connections. All my friends. Yeah. A bunch of my friends had moved there and stuff. So, and my wife is from Thousand Oaks, California, and she had family in Sherman Oaks, which is in the valley there. And her grandpa was like 90, I think, at the time, and he was getting up there. And so we were like, well, let's go spend some time with him, and we can just be out there, and I'll start working, and it'll be amazing. And it wasn't. I mean, I started doing some stuff, I was playing with a few different bands and things, but it wasn't, nothing was like taking off.
But you were working,
I was playing gigs. I was playing gigs,
but you said you were
singer-songwriter stuff, but I was, my main source of money was coming from catering. Okay. And I think right around that time was when I first started. I had a friend out there named Charlton Pettis, who's a producer, who ended up calling me, and he ended up living like a few blocks away from me, and he had produced some Gigolo Aunts stuff. And he called me over and he said, hey, you want to come over and record? And I got there, and it was Kurt Smith from Tears for Fears. And I was like, what the hell is happening right now? So we started recording Kurt's solo album.
Yeah.
And over time, that was just the first session of it. And it was an ongoing thing, they would write songs and I would just go over there and put some drums on pre-recorded tracks or whatever. And during that time, Tears for Fears got back together.
I have a question about that because I was looking at the list and a buddy of mine mentioned that this record, that 2004, Everybody Loves a Happy Ending. Yeah. Because that's such an iconic band.
Oh, yeah. It's pretty amazing.
So this is leading up to that, or?
Yeah. That was the first, thing and then he got back together while we were making his solo record.
Wow.
And then they just called me to come start working on some of their stuff. It was at my buddy's house, just in his little garage.
Wow.
And then we finally ended up I forget if I had moved. Yeah, we moved to New York during that time. Right after that, we moved back to, I got this gig with Ben Queller. He was sort of like an indie rock artist then. Mm-hmm. From Texas, who now was living in New York. He's back in Texas now, but and he had opened some shows for Juliana Hatfield. So he called me. His drummer had quit, and he said, "Hey, we're going on tour. Do you want to come play with me?" Mm-hmm. So we were like, "Sure." And we'd always wanted to live in New York anyway. So we were like, let's go live in New York and I'll play with Ben. And, so we did that. And I think while I was living in New York, the Tears for Fears guys called me and said, hey, we want to put the final drums on the record. Can you come out? So I went back out and did a week at Sound City. That now,
seriously?
I mean, it's a famous studio, but now it's even more famous because of that movie and all that.
Sure.
So we did the drums there it was just me in that huge room playing along to the tracks and stuff, of all the demos we had done.
Yeah.
And for a week, I got to just go in and play Tears for Fears songs. It was pretty incredible. Thinking back now, even like I didn't know what I was really doing then. I feel like I didn't.
What do you
know.
mean? What?
Like in the studio, yeah. I didn't know as much, about just getting sounds and all that, like the certain just tones out of different drums and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I think we had the drum doctor there help us out for that week. So, I mean, the drums sounded amazing, and the record came out great and everything, but they were really taking a chance on a kid out of nowhere.
Well, I've heard these stories. Like I think Manu Katché played on some tracks, and I hear these stories. Like everybody wants to rule the world.
Everybody wants to rule the world.
Yeah. How?
I think that was that dude. I think on that song that may have been that Mark Brzezicki.
Okay. Maybe it wasn't, but I just
Manu played on a bunch of stuff though.
Manu, yeah, and just the number of takes. They would experiment, and I realize this is a different time in the 80s when hundreds of thousands of dollars were being spent on producing records, and you could just sit there and do.
Well, I asked them about that too.
Yeah,
because I had heard that
that's
too.
That's what I'm kind of curious about.
Well, yeah, like that. Because Manu played on this song called "Bad Man Song." I don't know if you know that song, but the drums are incredible. You should check it out. And the whole drum intro is this crazy thing. And they told me, I was like, well, they had done a ton of takes and then they put it all together. They kind of put the take together. That's what Roland told me. And they would do that with a lot of the stuff. They would just take parts that they loved from whatever, which is kind of what we do. Everybody does now.
Right. But was it that way with this record that you were doing as well?
Sort of. They were. I don't know. I mean, I would play a bunch of takes, and then I think Charlton said for the most part they would take a bulk of one take and then maybe fly in some different stuff. So it wasn't totally that for this.
Okay.
It wasn't as complicated, I don't think, as some of the earlier songs. I mean, there was a couple things, but
I just wonder kind of those experiences where you just have a very seemingly demanding artist, or you hear these stories of, whether it's Mutt Lange or somebody like that, and just like, man, are they getting what they want from this person? Are they sapping the life out of them? How do you handle that kind of pressure? But I mean, it sounds like it was a pretty
well.
relaxed.
Even when I've been in those kind of situations where they're like, "Let's do another take," you just have to go with it. You can't just you can't just be like, "I'm out of here,"
Right.
And usually it's there's a reason behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, you just gotta keep doing it. Just do it.
Sure. You're there.
Because you don't know.
Right.
Maybe it will get better. It may not.
Yeah.
But maybe the next take is going to be even better. That you may play something a little bit different. Just a little fill or something that's going to. You never know.
Right.
And I think, even like Johnny Be Good, I think was like 68 takes or something like that. So, that's how they used to do it back in the day.
Holy moly.
They would just keep playing the song.
Wow. I hear these, sometimes I hear these, there's an Elvis Costello song where the song ends and then you hear it starting again. And I wonder if they're just like, keep the tape rolling, we're going to keep going.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
And then we're just going to pick the one we want.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. You start hearing the song starting again and then it's kind of fades out. I'm like, I wonder if they
just kept going and did
that.
Another take.
But they liked the beginning of that next one, so they just kind of put it in
leave
there.
it on there. Yeah, exactly.
It was really cool.
Oh, yes. When we were living in New York, that's when I got offered the Wallflowers gig.
Mm-hmm.
And Melissa, my wife, got pregnant, and we didn't want to have the baby in New York City. So just because it was, it's hard when you're struggling to enough to have a baby. We lived way uptown and Inwood and stuff. And it just would have been a huge hassle for us to have a baby there. And having the Wallflowers gig come up was just a good reason to.
Nice.
We went back to LA, back to Sherman Oaks, and that was that. We just I started touring with them.
Mm-hmm. How long was that? Did that gig last?
It lasted was like 8 years actually.
Oh wow!
But I made one record with them.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, with Brendan O'Brien down in Atlanta. And the record's called Rebel Sweetheart. It's a secret. No one knows about that record.
No, Fred.
Interscope wanted to keep it a secret.
Not anymore.
Even they released it, but they didn't tell anybody. So we didn't tour very long on that one. And Jacob was kind of like, all right, maybe we should take a little break. And that's when I got the Dixie Chicks gig.
Yeah.
When we were living out there. And that was awesome. I started touring with them in 2006.
How did that come about?
That came about through...
Because you said you met Audley on Dixie Chicks.
Yeah, but I didn't know him beforehand.
Okay.
I heard about the gig through Michael Bland, the drummer.
Yeah.
He was playing with Paul Westerberg when I first met him. We opened for them with the Gigolo Aunts. Mm-hmm. And we got to be pals, email friends and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
And after Jacob said like, hey, I want to take a little break from the band, I was like, oh, good. I just had a baby and I guess I work at Costco now. So I emailed a few friends and I was just like, hey, if you guys hear of anything, just let me know. And Michael emailed right away and was like, hey, I just, the Dixie Chicks wanted me to tour with them, but I can't do it. Mm-hmm. Here's the tour manager's email. Why don't you hit him up and see what's going on?
Nice.
So I did. And I emailed him and it sent in my stuff to the band leader, David Grissom.
Mm-hmm.
And I also was friends with Gary Loris from the Jayhawks.
Oh, okay.
And he had written a few songs for for the new record with them. And so I asked him if he would put in a good word for me or whatever with them, and he did. And that was it. They just called me, and I came and met them at the Village Studios in Westwood over there. And I just talked to Marty and Natalie for about an hour, and 2 days later they said, "Okay, you got the gig."
Wow. Did you play?
Cool.
I mean, well, before you said you talked to the manager and you sent stuff in. So
Yeah, but it was just like I forget what they had me send. Maybe like a little bio or something. I don't even know. Maybe
was it music or was it?
I think maybe some music, or I just sent like a list of things I had played on or something, which wasn't a whole lot. And it turns out they had never even, I don't even think they had even heard that stuff or listened to it or seen it. So, but what was his? Gary Loris, since he had talked to them, that was what I think caught their ear. Was like, oh, cool, let's, yeah. And I'd play in the Wallflowers and stuff. And they were they didn't want to, they were sort of trying to move out of the country world a little bit, you know, and be a little more rockin' or whatever, because they just made that record with Rick Rubin. Right. And Chad Smith had played drums and stuff, so. And I think, actually, the gig came down to me and Kenny Aronoff. I know it did, actually. I know it did. Wow. Kenny and I talked about it. Wow. So it's pretty funny. Wow. Because he was one of my heroes. I'd seen him at, Zildjian Day in New York and stuff. And when I was like a kid. Yeah. So it was pretty, that was very, very crazy. That's awesome, man. Yeah. That's awesome. I guess I want to talk about your setup a little bit. And I see it's kind of unique in the way that it's really low. I know. You sit above your drums. Your snare drum is like below your knees. Super low, I know. And it just kind of really hit home when I was watching you play with the Dixie Chicks. And I'm like, but the thing that struck me was when you're playing the ride cymbal, you're doing something, you're playing the ride cymbal, and you're just getting a huge sound. For me, the snare drum has to be just right where I'm hitting rim shot 90% of the time, backbeats at least. And so I'm just kind of watching. Man, I'm hearing this sound. It looked really painful. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. You know what? When you were playing the ride cymbal, it reminded me like Cindy Blackman, where you were just moving a lot. Your arm was just moving, and it seemed like there was this body movement over top of this kit, which like what you looked like was what the sound was coming out of. It's like I felt this good time, this good. You know what I'm saying? So you're reaching out there, you're playing that, and it's like how? Because it's like, how do I do that? You know what I'm saying? So how did this come about? I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, I think it just came from... You got your first drum set as a kid, Mickey Mouse kit. And I started bashing on it. I did, actually. My first drum kit was a Sears kit. Okay. The little Pearl. I think they were made by Pearl. Possibly. But it was just this little blue kit. Yeah. Then I ended up taking the covering off. It's so stupid. Do you still have the kit? I don't have it anymore. Oh, I think we may have smashed it in the street. I just like one of those stupid kid things you do. I did that with a Mini Moog once. Oh my God. I look back on that now. It was a bad decision. Yeah. Could have been worse. We were just bored. I think we were just bored suburban kids. It could have been carjacking. Yeah, that's true. I could have been carjacking. No, there's. Come on, man. You got to tell me more. I know. I don't know. I think this is a safe zone. Maybe you can really open up here. I mean, are you, like the way I hit the ride and stuff, or the way just the way I set up and the way. I guess the way you set up. The setup thing has morphed. So I don't think I always have my snare that low. Mm-hmm. I think over time, from recording and stuff, where I didn't want to hit rim shots all the time. Yeah. And because you get so used to when you're playing live all the time, you do play rim shots a lot of the time, especially on rock stuff.
Yeah.
And, coming up watching dudes like Steve Jordan, that's it. And Bonham and all those guys, everybody. So I don't know. But I think over time I started morphing and lowering my snare so that I wouldn't hit rim shots, forcing myself not to hit rim shots.
When you like Jordan, you said he
plays rim shots,
right?
Okay. It's
Okay.
all rim shots.
Sure.
And he gets that big ride sound. It's washy and
yeah.
Which I don't know where he got. I guess from Ringo. Ringo had a big washy ride sound.
Mm-hmm.
All those rock and roll, jazz and all,
right,
the ride symbol.
Sure.
And some early rock and roll stuff. Not all of it has like a big washy ride.
I think what I was saying was when you were playing this particular track and you were playing on the ride, but what it was, for me to sit behind that setup would be just in my mind is uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But it looked really comfortable for you. I mean, obviously you're going to set it up where it's comfortable for you,
mm-hmm.
but it wasn't just like it did not look. Sometimes when you see a player, just like, man, something's not quite right. He's
mm-hmm.
not. I mean, the sound coming out is fine, but I just can't see myself in that place. But it just looked really comfortable. Just like, yeah, this is my place, and I can play soft, I can rock it out, whatever. So you're not, and I guess that was the thing. The snare setup. It's like, well, you're not. It's going to be hard to get the rim shot, but you're still getting a huge sound out of it. So I don't know. Maybe it just is what it is.
It is what it is, I think, and I think it just comes from that, from trying to get different sounds out of things, like the way I want to hear it. Mm-hmm. So I would just adjust to where it feels great, where it feels right,
Gotcha.
and. It is weird. I know. I look at it too, and I go, "Wow, my snare is really low." I say, "What the hell am I doing? Why?" And I can't explain it. And sometimes I'll raise my snare up now when I'm practicing or at home or something, and then I'm like clanking all over the place, and I can't. So I have to lower it to us. It's got to be a certain thing.
Right. But your setup is. Are you still like one rack, one floor, snare?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, now. In the studio, a lot of times I'll set up like this not a whole giant thing, but I'll put my bass drum case there and just put perk stuff over there for just like weird things.
So it's
a lot of people want to do loops. Loops are back big time, so they go like, can we build a loop? And I'll just do like a live loop of stuff.
Do you do, I know there was a time when, guys were running programs and providing loops, a whole library of loops that they had.
I've never done that.
Written. Okay.
I've never done that. I mean, like, or like programming stuff.
Yeah, or coming into the studio with stuff, or they're just really tech
beforehand.
savvy. Yeah, with that stuff.
Never done that.
And the few times that I've done loops, it's been the same kind of thing. It's been,
okay,
we're going to throw the
make your own.
Yeah,
I think it's more fun that way.
Yeah.
And, the engineers usually seem to like that more, too, because they can have fun getting a cool sound out of it or something,
Yeah.
And you'll get something more unique instead of everyone using the same loops from whatever programs are out there,
I think I struggle with that just as far as, like, taking the time to sit down behind a computer and sitting and pressing buttons. And, this is just personal. This is not take anything away from killer loops.
There are some amazing
It just comes from just that creative element. But I'm just one of those players that just has to be moving.
Yeah, I like the doing it myself.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you're just validating my laziness behind. I have a hard time just like.
It seems like a lot of work going like, all the in-between stuff that you'd have to program. I feel like, I don't know. I've never done it, so maybe it would be really fun. You know what I mean? I've never actually tried. So maybe
we're going to pause this. We're going to do this.
We're going to
go right. We'll be right back.
We're going into a loop lab.
Yeah. We're back. It didn't work.
It's awful.
Yeah, we couldn't get the computer to
I wonder if they have that now at like a Berkeley lab. Loops.
It's possible.
I'm sure they have programming on that stuff.
Well, we were listening to something yesterday, and my 12-year-old says, "Yeah, I mean, this electronic stuff. I mean, it takes as much skill as it does to play." And I said, "Well, there's a creative element. I believe that for sure, because there are killer players with just unending chops that come up with. I don't hear a lot of creativity." And the opposite is true. I hear just maybe players with limited facility that just come up with
the coolest thing.
Yeah. And sometimes it's that guitar player that knows how to play a little bit of drums, and you're just like, oh man, wow, how did you do that? That is really cool.
I know. I love that.
Yeah.
Or like a songwriter who can't really play drums, but they're like, I have this thing in my head. And you say, well, sit down and do it for me, or try and
no rim shots, please.
Yeah.
How did that?
Well, let me lower my snare more.
There's so many iconic players that defined this city for what it was, and continue to do that. But now I'm seeing and I'm hearing more variations on this, and it's very exciting.
Yeah,
playing
on like I think Kasey Musgraves is a perfect example of she's able to take an old style country, like a classic sort of folk. I see her as a very folk artist, and making it sound fresh and poppy. You know what I mean? She can and it always comes down to making everything very simple. She likes everything real simple. I can just be going boom, tat, and put it, it's like it comes out exactly the way it ought to. Over what she's, her song, her beautiful songs. So,
can you tell me a little bit more about that experience, like what it was like to work with? Did she have a hand in the production or?
Yeah, no, she produces it too. It's between her and Shane McAnally and Luke Laird. They produce it together, the first record and this new one. And it's just like she listens to all different stuff too. She's very aware of what's going on, and her heart's in the classic country stuff. She loves Willie and Roger Miller and all that stuff, but she also likes Katy Perry or whatever. She likes that poppy element. So I don't know, she just knows how to break it down to the most simple thing and have it come across, and it's still everyone's personality is still coming through. She assembles musicians that she knows have a personality, a sound, and she doesn't try to suck it out by making everything perfect, exactly. Locking stuff down.
I see.
And that's another example of it's just that those natural sounds. Everything's just very acoustic-y, but you hear, I don't know. It's done very, very smart and very well. Great engineers.
Yeah. Maybe it's just not lining everything, or maybe that's how things are changing in a refreshing way, is they're not lining everything.
Even if a lot of the songs we used to click or whatever, but for some reason it doesn't come off sounding that way.
Yeah.
Her new single, we actually didn't even use a click.
I was going to ask you that. Biscuits. I mean, are you using a click on everything?
No.
Did you use a click when you played with Dixie Chicks live?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they love having that click.
Okay.
Some people love it. They had it in their ears the whole time. Like I'll use a click with Sheryl just to start songs and stuff, and I'll probably turn it off a lot of times, or sometimes I'll just leave it on or whatever,
Yeah.
If I'm feeling like things are a little unsteady that night. You know what I mean? It just depends.
Right, right. But are you the only one that has it?
With Cheryl's thing,
Sheryl? Yeah. Okay. Did you play, have you played records, well, I know the answer to that, but with Kasey, did you play on the whole record? Were there different drummers? Okay. I know there's recordings sometimes where you come in, you'll do a song, a couple songs or half the record or whatever, and another drummer will come in and do that, depending on what someone's listening for and things like that.
No. Luckily, she hired me for the whole thing.
Nice. Yeah. Very good. Well, man, can we talk about the Sheryl thing and how that came about?
Sure. Sheryl came about with, well, let me think. How did it all come about? I mean, it's just all of it, all my friends, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
same story,
oddly,
different names.
I met Peter on that Chicks tour. I met Peter Stroud, who's been with Sheryl for like 16 or 18 years, something like that. Long time. He came out to some Chicks shows. Mm-hmm. He has an amp company called 65. And he and Audley have been buddies for a long time because they're both amazing guitar players. And we put together a little band called Big Hat. It's me and Audley and Peter and Robert, who plays bass with Sheryl, also Robert Kearns. And this guy, Keith Gaddis, who's a songwriter here from Nashville.
Yeah, his name came up the other day. Did you record a record with him?
Yeah, I made a record with him and do a lot of stuff with him. Yeah, he's great. He's great.
Somebody recommended that.
He's really
check
good.
That record out.
Yeah, he has. Well, I don't know if the record that I played on ever came out. It's called Bones. I don't think it's on iTunes or anything. I'll send you a copy.
I was going to say, we got to find it. We got to find it somewhere. No, seriously, somebody recommended that record.
It's pretty good. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. The great songs and Keith's he's a cool dude.
That's cool. That's cool.
We put this band together called Big Hat, and we went down to Atlanta and recorded 4 songs, and just released it as our own little thing. Mm-hmm. But around that time, Peter hadn't done. There was like a couple of years where Sheryl did this like sort of bluesy. She does 100 Miles from Memphis record with Doyle Bramhall. Sure. And he put that whole thing together sort of with his players and everything. And they toured for a couple of years. And then she was living in Nashville. And I think she just wanted to put together a Nashville band. She sort of wanted to do a country thing or whatever sort of country thing. And she just asked Peter to help her put together a band. Mm-hmm. And I think so that since we were all playing together already, he just kind of asked us.
Nice.
Thank God. And I'd always loved Sheryl. Sheryl's like unbelievable person and one of my favorite artists. And, I'd practiced along to those first couple records. The drummers that she's had play with her, every one of them is incredible. Every one of them is just great. Yeah. So it's like a dream gig for me.
That's awesome.
I feel like my style fits with her music very well, and where we're all coming from. And everyone in that band now, it's like a perfect little storm of rock musicians, rock and roll musicians.
Awesome. Everybody gets it's a family. Everybody gets along.
It really is.
That's awesome.
We've all become very close over the years. There's Jen, who's Audley's wife.
Yeah.
Peter, who I've known now since 2006 or whatever, and Audley. And Josh Grange plays pedal steel. He and I played with Katie Lang together.
Yeah.
And he's done some Dixie Chicks stuff also. And then Robert Kearns, who he and Audley had a band together for years, called Cry of Love. And so everyone's just, we've all played together for years, and
cool.
It's awesome. It's been a great situation.
I have that Katie Lane record.
Sing It Loud?
Yeah. I love that record.
It's a really good record.
Yeah.
I'm not the only drummer on that. There's a couple songs that, one song, the producer's brother, Joe Pasapia's brother, Mark, played on a song.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah. And then, I can't think of the guy's name right now. It's going to kill me. There's another drummer on Sugar Buzz. You know that song?
Yeah.
I can't think of his name. Paul Griffith. Awesome drummer. Amazing drummer.
I know Paul.
Lefty.
Yeah. He's Really?
Sick.
He's on that?
Yeah, he's on that song, which is like my favorite song on the whole record. But
I just talked to Paul. I saw him at the Opry a couple weeks ago.
yeah.
And I said, man, come talk to me.
Oh, he's a beast. He's so good.
Yeah. It was fun to watch them scramble to get the drum set turned around on the Opry so he could play left hand.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
I said, I think Paul's coming up to play here.
Yeah. Nice.
He's cool. I've known Paul for a long time. He's always the guy that it's like, we've done a couple records where I've been on part of it and he's been on the other part. And it's like, okay, here's the normal drums and here's the slippery, groovy drums. That's Paul.
Yeah, I know it. He's
he's really great. Is there anything that you've done where you're just like, I got to get out of this thing, in the past, or that it sounds like you've gone from one really fucking cool gig to another?
I've been very fortunate. Yes.
Yeah.
Most of the stuff I have done, has suited me musically, and I've gotten along with the people. The only thing I left was the records, and it was all me.
It's not you, it's me.
It's not you.
Really? You
well,
used that?
I mean, it was. They were going through some drama anyway. The girls were sort of not getting along or whatever. I don't, and I was a little bit fried because I'd gone right from the Wallflowers touring right to the Dixie Chicks thing, and then right into the records thing. So I'd been on the road a lot, and I had the young baby, and I was just burnt. Mm-hmm. We had the two babies at that point. So, and we had just moved here. We moved here right in the time I was playing with the wreckers, and so I was fried and stressed, and on top of that, they were sort of not getting along. So it was kind of like, I need to go. I just need to go home. So I did.
Yeah. Otherwise.
But there hasn't been any. There's no. Otherwise, it's never like situations where I was dreading anything.
Yeah.
It's always been pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Been very lucky.
There was a tweet from Jerry Rowe about some stuff that you guys recorded with Stoney LaRue.
Yep.
Double drums.
Yeah.
And stuff. So Jerry's one of the guys I've known for a while, and I need to get on this thing. I think I should start by asking him.
I would listen to Jerry's podcast. He should have his own podcast.
I know. See, that's why I'm holding off.
He'll take over.
He'll take over.
Jerry's
when I'm tired of doing this, then I'll call him on here. So another person, Keo Stroud, we talked about the whole double drumming thing, and that's just something I'm just kind of fascinated with. Did you guys? Was that a thing in the studio? Was that was meant to be, or did that?
Yeah. No, well, that was Frank Liddell produced that. Mm-hmm. And I had done Stoney's record right before that, too. Or the one before that, not right before that. The one before that. And that one has me and Chad Cromwell doing double drums, the whole thing.
Oh, cool.
Which was awesome. And then he wanted to do it the same way again the next record. So, but he hired Jerry. He had met Jerry over the couple years in between the records or whatever, and liked his playing and stuff. So, and Jerry, he knew that Jerry and I were friends, and so he was like, "Well, let's have you guys do it this time," and it worked out great. Jerry's there, It's always fun doing double drums, though.
Well, I mean, what kind of considerations are there? I mean, I hear about guys taking on different roles, complementing each other, one playing, but in the studio, it seems like it's a whole different beast. It is recording in general, but I mean, double drumming seems to up the ante.
Well, you sort of just kind of, you just start playing, and at first you might say, well, you be the straight ahead sort of laying down the groove guy, and I'll be the percussion-y guy on this one. And that may change instantly. It could be like, well, this part, even though I have the percussion-y stuff set up, or I've put towels on my drums and blah, blah, blah. this kit sounds better for the straight ahead thing, and what you're doing sounds better percussion-y, or vice versa.
Yeah.
And you just kind of go with whatever's working, And so it's mostly that. You mostly say, like, I'll do more of the, I'll be playing toms while you play kick, snare, hat, or whatever. And you just build on that.
Yeah. Well, that kind of brings me to another thing. Is one of the things you mentioned before was, it's like, well, one of the things I do is I know how to tune drums. Mm-hmm. So in that way, I mean,
or manipulate drums.
Yeah. So right, because there's sessions that I've done where you're throwing towels and wallets and taping tambourines to kick drums and stuff like that. Or preparing drums, I guess, as it were. But is there something that you're doing? What's kind of your philosophy about that? I mean, as far as how you're tuning drums, is there something like this? I like going here with the tom sound.
Yeah, I mean, I usually try and we listen to the demo of a song first, and I'll usually try and picture what I think would suit the song best, what sound anyway would suit the song best, and so just try and manipulate the drums or whatever.
What are you bringing to the studio as far as snares or cymbals? Or
usually just a 4-piece kit, and then extra snares. I have about 8 or 10 snares that I bring, and then tons of percussion stuff, and a bunch of different cymbals. And is it raining right now? Is that the sound of rain? Really?
Yeah.
And that's it. It's it's not. I don't have a big, complicated thing.
Yeah. What's the size of your drums?
22, 13, 16 usually.
Okay.
For the regular kit, and
There was I think one of the videos that I found of you online was you were talking about. I think it was for Vic Firth.
Vader is
Vader.
Yeah. I was with Vic Firth for years, and then I switched to Vader. I don't know when I switched to Vader, probably like 2005 or something like that.
Okay. You were playing a certain stick with Katie Lang, and then you were saying, when I'm going to, with this gig, the 7A works.
Yeah, like more of a jazzy kind of sound. But now I've stuck with that. I've stuck with
oh, really?
It's called a swing is the name of the stick.
Okay.
I was using the Manhattan 7A.
Yes, that was a great one. That's a great one.
It was a great stick. They're all, Vader makes amazing stuff. But, then I switched to swing, which I can't remember the difference. I know the beat is different.
Okay.
And it's probably just a different length and a little bit.
I see.
It's sort of like a 7A, though.
Yeah.
I kind of use that all the time.
Yeah?
And sometimes they feel heavy. I swear. I don't know why, but some days I pick them up and I go, wait, is this... Did I pick up a 5B or something, but it's the swing.
One of the things when I first moved to town and I realized that people wanted big drum sounds. They wanted, and somebody was saying... I was playing a Manhattan 7A. Mm-hmm. And they said they picked up a 2B, and they said, here, listen to this tom. Boom. And I was like, oh, wow, that sounds great. Mm-hmm. And if I'm playing tastefully and simple, I don't need to play fast. I just need that big, fat sound.
Yeah.
But then you hear about players with huge sound or great sound with small sticks or switching sticks. I mean, so the Sheryl gig is a louder gig than Katie's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm using the swing.
Using that.
I've stuck with it. I just feel like with the giant, I was using Powerhouse with the Chicks even. And which are huge.
Yeah.
They're pretty big. They're like a big 5B or something. And I think I just kind of, I don't know. It's a lot of work. They're just heavy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know why after I switched down to a lighter stick, just the tone of it and everything on the drums and the cymbals.
Yeah.
Just feels better to me.
Yeah. Well, and I think like I'm trying to struggle with that right now. And I'm sure listeners are tired of like, Matt, enough of your questions, personal questions. But no, but seriously, I feel it's like, how do I balance this? What people are saying? Oh, you should try this. You should do this, or this is kind of a sound that this player gets because they're using this or that, and then I'm questioning, like, am I doing what I want to do? Because I'm relating this to sticks in particular. I'm using this particular Regal tip stick, which is great, and I love that. It's but it's just heavy for me. It's starting to get heavy. It's like, man, am I going to miss something by switching to a smaller stick? But no, I don't think so.
No, I don't think
especially
so.
when I picked up Steve Jordan's stick, and I'm like, wow, he's
light sticks.
Yeah. Well,
that in conjunction with the way you tune I mean, if you open up the tom or whatever, that's going to make it sound bigger. You know what I mean? If you're not having, and it's like a combination of the engineering, the way it sounds. You know what I mean? Like the way they're recording the thing. Yeah. It's going to make a big sound.
Do you keep different sticks with you for different? I mean, I know we've got mallets and brushes and all those gadgets, but I mean, as far as sticks are concerned,
yeah. Sometimes I'll have a couple bigger sticks, but I very rarely will pick up a bigger stick to
get the job
done. It's like we need a rock thing on this. I just play it with the I just open up the toms a little bit usually, and maybe the kick and the snare.
How would you go about that? I mean, when you say open up the tom,
because for the most part, I start with like muffling on the toms. I just start there with like a little piece of cloth on each tom, and so.
In the studio.
Yeah.
In the studio. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And live too. I have these little.
Oh, okay.
I just have like a little piece of it's from a baby blanket that I've cut up.
What kind of heads are you using?
I use Aquarian.
Okay.
Aquarian, texture coated on the toms. It's like what an ambassador is.
Sure.
Actually, Aquarian is awesome. They send you a thing that says, if you're looking for the Remo Ambassador sound or something, similar to, this is our version of that, which is great, because then you can check out those things that they're relating it to that you've liked, because most people probably start out on Remo stuff. I mean, I did anyway. But
Sure.
But the Aquarian stuff is incredible. Their heads are awesome, and the people I've actually had more producers and engineers go like, what is that head you're using on that snare, or what are those heads you're using? I've actually had a bunch of people ask about it since I've switched to Aquarian.
So you're using like the single ply texture coated
on the toms. I use super kick on the coated on the kick. And then for the snare, I've been using either Performance 2 or Resonant Response 2 or something like that. And I also been using, they have these ones that are, I believe they were meant to sound more like a calfskin head, but they're called like their modern vintage or something like that.
Yeah.
And I've been using those on a couple different snares like that. One of those on a Black Beauty sounds pretty incredible. It just sounds great. And you can make it sound, you can do the thing where you're just hitting on the center of the head, making it fat, and they sound really good for that. And they're great with brushes.
Yeah.
The texture of them is cool.
Yeah.
So
I always thought the quality was really consistent with them.
Super consistent.
Yeah. Nice. Well, I guess, can we talk a little bit about just endorsements and kind of who you're with? You talked about Vader.
Yeah, Vader, Peisty.
Yeah.
I was with Sabian for years and years, and then I switched. I think when I got the Chicks gig, I actually ran into Abe Jr. at the NAMM show in LA, and he's like, you got to come here, the new Peisty. It was like the 20 series or something had just come out, I think then. Or maybe it was a little bit before this 20 series came out. But anyway, it was right before I was going on tour with the Chicks. And so I went over and talked to Andrew Treve at their booth. And that was it. He kind of hooked me up after that. And I love Peisty.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah.
And then Ludwig drums. I'm playing Ludwig for a long time. They signed me. I met Todd Trent, who was their artist rep for about 25 years. I met him when I was in the Gigolo Aunts opening for the Counting Crows.
Oh, cool.
We toured with the Counting Crows a bunch because we eventually, when we lost our RCA record deal, Adam signed us to his deal. He had a little label.
Oh, cool.
He had a label through Interscope called E Pluribus Unum. And we made a record for him, so we played hundreds of gigs with these guys. And their drummer, Ben Mize, was a Ludwig guy.
Yeah.
And Todd used to come out to all their gigs. So me and Todd just got to be good friends for like 10 years before he would sign me. He was always like, hey, man, I'm still here. I'm still doing it. And finally, when I got the Wallflowers gig, he was like, whatever you want, we'll hook you up. So
that's nice.
And then he left. Then he left Ludwig. So we've had a rotating cast of artist reps since then. And the new guy is amazing. They just got this guy, Ulysses Salazar. I think they call him Uli or Uli. I'm not sure. I've just emailed with him. But he's great. And they have some new stuff coming out that looks incredible. Actually, they have some new mahogany legacy series thing coming out that looks really cool.
Mahogany is like the new maple. It's just, I'm starting to see it.
Well, I play those Ludwig standard kits from they made them from 68 to like 75.
Yeah.
And those are mahogany.
Yeah.
And I mean that's all I play really.
Yeah.
Those mahogany ones.
Yeah.
I have a kit for live, and then I have
but being endorsed by them, but are you playing
the new stuff?
Yeah.
Sometimes I do.
Yeah.
Like I've taken new kits out on the road, like the maple kits, and they sound awesome. They're great,
Yeah.
But for some reason I just always gravitate back to, I've had the one Avocado Strata kit that I've had for like 18, 20 years or something now. Mm-hmm. I bought it at Jack's Drum Shop in Boston. Mm-hmm. Out of the window.
Wow. And
I just love that sound. They're just nice and warm sounding,
Yeah.
So I stick with that. But
22, 13, really, 16.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear these new. I mean, the finish they have been showing of the new mahogany thing is really beautiful. It's looks like a butterscotch thing. It's really cool. So,
I've got a Catalina Club.
Mm-hmm.
That's mahogany, and it just in the lower register, it tunes up so well.
Yeah, they sound great. They're just warm and nice.
And then a set of 71 Ludwigs that are getting the edges fixed.
Yeah,
as we speak.
I think that's what my avocado kit, the Avocado Strata kit, is. A 71. Okay. They're as old as me.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear them. They're just, I can't wait to get them back.
Yeah.
Just have to decide what to put on them, but I may have to check out the...
yeah, you got to put some Aquarians.
Aquarians heads on them.
I was thinking about, actually, on the way here, I was like, working drummer. I was like, well, I could talk about all the jobs I've had that weren't drummer jobs.
You're right.
I mean, I've had so many friggin' jobs over my...
I think that's important, but man, I think that's important. I think players...
That's the struggle, you have to keep... It's just living. You're just living.
Right.
I'm just a drummer still. But
feel free to expound upon this, but when I first moved to Nashville and I was working a lot, I was teaching and working retail at a music store and playing in multiple bands in Columbus. I moved to Nashville. I had to literally start over. Had a young family. I was stocking shelves at a grocery store, and songwriters and session players were coming in, and I was feeling rather overwhelmed just by, I don't know, not feeling particularly happy about having to do this when and a good friend of mine said, you know what, man, you are so dedicated to do music that you're doing whatever it takes to put food on the table so you can keep doing music.
Yeah, that's what you do.
And I'm like, you're right. I don't have a gig. I don't have a music gig that's paying my bills. So I have to do whatever it takes. I needed that so bad. I needed for him to say that I had choices, but I chose this so I can maintain music. And I think that it's hard for people to accept different types of work. And yeah, the title of this is Working Drummer, but there are lots of players out there that they love what they do and they're playing, but that's not the only thing that they do. Mm-hmm. But you're right, man. It's working. It's doing whatever you have to do just so you can make music and in many ways do it on your own terms more so than if all you did was play.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, you just got to do what you got to do.
That's right.
I love practicing. I love sitting down I have a little room in my garage where I have a kit set up, and I practice almost every day that I have off. I practice.
Wow. Okay.
Not for the whole day. I usually will set aside maybe an hour.
Yeah.
Or more. But, and I have like a playlist of songs that I'll change up and practice along to. And, that's it. I actually love practicing.
Yeah. And is that what is involved? Is just playing along with stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Playing along to records.
Okay.
And I'll play along to stuff that I've been playing along to for years. Mm-hmm. And then I'll try playing along to stuff that I am not good at. You know what I mean? It's always good to challenge yourself. Like I play along to a lot of jazz stuff just to challenge myself because I'm not a jazz player professionally or anything. I've never really played a jazz gig or anything like that. I've never recorded it.
Are you free on the 22nd?
I mean, now I feel like I actually may be good enough to play a gig or something, a jazz gig, a straight ahead jazz gig or something. And it's something I want to do. Actually, I want to put together a jazz band where we just get together and play and learn a few songs and then go out and do it somewhere. But so yeah, I try and challenge myself.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've gotten better. And I feel the stuff helping my playing when I come into the studio. I like being able to just come in the studio and feel like I'm good and that I can just do what is needed.
Right.
There was nothing worse than feeling like if I didn't play for a week or something and then you have a recording session or a gig and you kind of feel a little off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can't do that anymore. I feel like I need to be able to just be on it all the time.
Right. I'm with you.
And, you just got to practice to be that good. Or to be able to do that, to have that feeling.
Right.
You have to practice all the time or else it's going to go away. So.
Yeah. I feel like I've known people, maybe it was just when I was younger, when I would hear them and they just seemed like they never practice, but they just sit down and play. And
some people, maybe that works.
Yeah, but I'm not that
Especially
way.
with drumming, it's such a physical thing. And
yeah, there's balance and there's all that stuff. And
I mix it up. I do, since Sheryl's gig is a rock and roll gig, it's very demanding physically, I feel like. It's pretty up,
Yeah.
And so when a gig's coming up, we haven't played for a while, I put playing along to our like live shows or whatever just to get back in the head frame and get physically back in shape because I can feel it when I go out there and I play 4 songs really rocking or whatever and I'm out of breath already, after 4 songs, like, oh my God, I'm really out of shape.
Yeah.
I just hate those feelings. So,
Is there anything that you do to keep yourself in shape or to kind of like create this standard of living so that you can support your drumming?
Playing alone keeps you pretty in good shape, I feel like. And I do go to the Y and stuff, here and there. And my wife is a yoga instructor, actually.
Okay.
So I try to do yoga, and I feel like that's just great for peace of mind.
You're probably really good at yoga, but because your wife's an instructor, you probably think, I'm not good
at it. I don't do it as much. I mean, she does it every day.
Yeah.
I'm not that person. I'll do it a few times a month, and I want to do it more.
Yeah.
And I definitely could.
Yeah.
But don't have a personal practice yet of yoga.
Sure.
Like, so I can't just, it's hard for me to just sit down and do it. Like I'll force myself a couple times on the road to get in the hotel room and start to try and do some yoga. But I feel like I need my wife there prodding me and just telling me exactly what to do at all times.
Yeah. I guess one last thing is just, could you tell me a little bit more about the Sheryl gig as far as maybe how it's differed than other gigs in the past? You briefly touched upon the click thing and how you set that up. And was there a lot of freedom to kind of do this? Because she's played with so many different drummers and so many different situations. I think the style of her band has evolved over time. It's changed over time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, how much input do you get from her or from other band members? Or is there just, because you guys were hired all together as a new group, I mean, that must have been maybe to your advantage to kind of come in. I don't know. Could you?
Yeah, it probably was to my advantage. And, well, my head is a big jumble now. She doesn't really give a whole lot of direction. I mean, I remember the first time I played with her, we came into she kind of auditioned us to do, it was like a corporate gig coming up that her band couldn't do. Because the band that she had, her rock band before, the rockin' thing before that, before the more soul band, they all went and started playing with Noel Gallagher for his band, the High Flying Numbers. Is that what it's called? High Flying Numbers? High Flying Birds? I can't remember now. I feel like she wanted that. She wanted more of the rock thing back. And we all kind of play in that way anyway. So it wasn't like she had to do a lot of and Peter, he's been with her so long, he knows what she's gonna like and what she's not gonna like. So and so he kind of cast it that way anyway. It's like we all fell into it pretty easily, I guess.
Yeah. So there wasn't a lot of input from her, but you knew, this is what I have to do. And
when you're learning stuff like that, there's signature fills and stuff that you sort of have to do. Okay. And the feel's always going to be, or the beat of it is always going to be the same. Everyone's feel is going to be a little different, but you try and get it.
But you're not copping right off the record. You're playing like you.
Pretty much, yeah. I play just how I interpret it, but it's also. The part is there, the parts of the songs are there, and everything's right. So I'm not. And are you? What I do is not going to make a difference, and as far as like changing the song or anything. So,
are you settling in on parts that you're creating for certain songs, or do you leave room for interpretation? I mean, how flexible is the song list or the arrangements?
Everything's pretty set. Yeah, everything's pretty set. Like eventually, or sometimes, occasionally, she'll say, "Well, let's do like a little extended solo here, or let's do this, add this part here, or we'll do a different intro to this, or we'll end it differently this time, this way, or." But yeah, not a ton of stuff has really changed that much.
And then. As far as tempos, are you pulling them right off the record, or she's, where you
pulling from the record? And actually, they have. There was like a master list that I think I don't remember. I don't know who. It was just the drum tech had it.
Yeah.
Of all the songs with tempos.
Okay, so if anything had changed.
Yeah, so we would just kind of go. We would start with whatever the tempo was they have because. He would adjust from all the different live things,
Sure.
if they did things differently.
Nice.
But, and then there's a couple songs we do play with a loop, a couple loops. And so that's pretty much set. And I control all that stuff so I can turn them on and off if need be. But it's all very simple,
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the other thing is that it's all much bigger than we realize when we're looking at it, from the outside, and then you realize either, this is the reality of it. It's a lot simpler.
It's a lot simpler. Like I was, you stress out over it for a few weeks, then you go like, wait a minute, I'm just playing music. Everything's cool. I know how to do this. I can play a song. I can get
right. Maybe that's where it's coming down to.
Yeah.
So for the rest of this year, she's doing some writing.
She's done some writing. We've done some recording already for
nice.
demoing up songs.
Okay.
At her, she's got a home studio.
Right.
Doing that.
Right.
And then, so I've just been recording a lot. We have Kasey's record is coming out in June. Ashley Monroe's new record. I played on all that. It's an incredible record. That's gonna be great. Her new single's out. It's called On to Something Good. Vince Gill produced it.
Oh wow, cool.
And working with him, I've gotten to play in a couple songs for his new record.
Oh wow,
which is pretty awesome.
Nice.
And Justin Niebank also. I should mention Justin just in case he ever listens to this because he's incredible.
What's his name again?
Justin Niebank. He's just a great engineer, and I guess he's sort of co-producing that also. Ashley's record, I mean. And then Striking Matches is a record, this band that just came out, which is a record I did with T Bone Burnett, who I had never worked with before, which was pretty incredible. And this girl Allison Moorer, her new record just came out.
I remember when Michael Webb was working with her
years
ago.
Yeah. She's awesome.
Yeah.
And
anything special about T-Bone as far as working with him in the studio?
He's just very good at like the power of suggestion and creating a nice the right vibe and like maybe playing a song or something to influence how you're about to approach song, you know what I mean? Like he'll just play like a Bo Diddley song or something, if the song is, it was like their thing is Striking Matches, they're like a guitar duo. They're like these virtuoso young guitar guys, a guy and a girl. They're incredible musicians, great singers. And they write these sort of pop, sort of country. There's some jamming involved. Like, it's very... We didn't use a click on the whole record. It's very loose, and they're so good you don't need to. And their feel was very good, so I just kind of followed them,
Yeah.
And so he would, like, if there was like this weird sort of ballad, this sort of some of their stuff could lean, I guess, what you call mainstreamy or whatever, something that could be on radio, I guess. And then he would want it just a little left of center, just think about this kind of groove and listen to this tune, and just soak it in a little bit into your head and just think about how maybe that approach would work on this song, And
so he would play like just another song.
Yeah, just some else. Other kind of old artist or something that he. He just wanted to hear some sort of element of that thing going on.
To get it inside.
Yeah.
Everyone, let's think this way.
Yeah, let's just feel it sort of around here. And even if we did do a couple loops on that record, but if it was a loop I would create without a click.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think sort of about the vocal and how it's going to feel or how it's supposed to feel. And then they would just take like 3 or 4 bars of that thing and we would just play to that.
Oh, nice.
But a live loop without a click, so it had a little motion to it. So you'd kind of have to feel that out.
Right. But they were looping that.
Yeah.
The bars, whatever they chose.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
That'd be a good way to feel it.
Yeah. And that way it's still breathing a little bit,
Yeah.
It's not locked down at all.
Right.
And I can play in time for 4 bars sometimes. Enough to make a loop out of without a click.
That's going to be your quote.
Yeah, that's the pull quote. Great. I can play in tune or in time for 4 bars. I can count to 4 too.
I can count to
4. He doesn't like count-ins either. He doesn't like clicking.
Yeah.
Like to count off a tune. Like 1, 2.
Yeah.
He wants you playing the groove.
Uh-huh.
And sort of falling in more than
because I know sometimes people will set up the grooves and say, well, no, we're just going to groove on this, we're going to feel it, and then we're going to kind of stop.
Yeah.
And but then we're going to count it in. There's still that count in or whatever.
Which I guess, there's guys who do it, like James Gadson, you know that drummer?
I don't.
He was Bill Withers' drummer, James Gadson.
Okay.
Sick, amazing. So he still does that stuff. He'll just play the groove for a while, and then there's like people will just record his count ins because that's how he does it. He'll just play the groove and then count it in, take a little breath before
Yeah. It makes it.
He's the metronome,
right? And it makes sense. And then there's the whole being able to count in where it matches the feel and the tempo of the
it's hard to do
of the song. And I wish I could remember the drummer's name. Played with Joan Osborne for a number of years. Incredible player. Talked about one thing that we never practice is practicing counting in a band when we're by ourselves.
Joan Osborne, was it Quintana or that's his last name?
No, he had a record called One Hand Clapping.
I know who you're talking about.
Had a great book, lots of philosophy.
Yeah, it's super educational.
Yeah. I'll figure it out and
can fly it in.
That's it. I'll use someone else's voice to be like a bad overdub. But that was the thing. I mean, this is kind of unrelated to what you're talking about. But it was. I never thought of that, and I would actually practice counting so that my count, the tempo, and the feel matched exactly the beginning of the song. So we started right at the top, strong, and it was good. And I was like, oh my gosh, I never thought about that. Yeah. And it was so true because I would count in a song and like, wait, that's not the tempo. It's somewhere else. Yeah. Especially when you're using it without a click. You're trying to,
Oh yeah.
Man, thanks so much.
Absolutely.
I appreciate taking the time to do this.
I appreciate you having me.
Thanks, man.
Hopefully somebody will learn something. I don't know who will, but...
Well, I don't care about anybody else out there.
You learned something.
I have.
Okay, good. I learned something.